we're moving into Nick Chubb territory now. We're moving into running backs, and I'm going to read them, the two headline options, and tell me if this doesn't get your blood pumped up. Just how high is Nick Chubb's fantasy ceiling in 2023? Well, let me answer you that with the next headline option. Could Nick Chubb finish as the RB1? That's the fantasy ceiling. 1. That's a high ceiling.
It's true. I mean,
I love Nick Chubb. Give him to me.
Who doesn't? I mean, this poll that just came out of all the NFL execs and fellow players and whatnot, he was the number one running back on those lists, and so many stats justify why he is just a pure, absolute monster as a runner. But rather than focusing on just how damn good he is, I could throw a million yards after contact and everything that makes him a great runner. If you have eyeballs, you recognize Nick Chubb is a phenomenal, phenomenal back. Without Kareem Hunt, though, that's the big thing. What is the volume going to look like? Through his career, we've seen Nick Chubb average 18.3 points per game compared to 15.8. He's been on pace for 303 attempts plus 50 targets, 1,659 rush yards, and 11 touchdowns in addition to around 250 receiving yards. At minimum, I do expect a big receiving and touchdown boost here, given that Hunt is gone and the next man up is Jerome Ford, 5'9", like 200 and so pounds. There's no reason they're going to be taking out Nick Chubb at the stripe like they used to for Kareem Hunt, and so frustrating. There's no way they're doing that with Jerome Ford. All the touchdowns, in my opinion, are going to go to Chubb. So I have him going for at least 13 to 15 touchdowns this season. I also think as a receiver, he's averaged nearly 3 targets per game compared to under 2 per game without Hunt. And he's a very capable receiver. We saw it last year with 6 targets, 5 catches, 45 yards and a touchdown. He led the team there in targets in that last game of the season coming from Deshaun Watson. Last year he was the running back 6 in PPR leagues as well. Oh, we can't do it as a pass catcher. Well, even if that role doesn't go up, which it wasn't much there last year, he still was the running back 6. So plenty of upside there and that higher touchdown equity, as I mentioned. But they also added, and this one's the real just gross stuff that I just dig into for whatever reason, new running back coach Stump Mitchell. He's been a huge breakout guy for so many running backs. He preaches a ton of the little footwork things, and they said you probably don't have a lot because he's got this reputation of the league of being like a nitpicky coach that really squeezes the most out of their talent. And he was interviewed. You probably don't have a lot to nitpick about Nick Chubb, right? One of the best runners in the league. He said, oh, no, this guy has so much more he can do and so much better things he can be than what he's done so far. I want him averaging 6 yards a carry. I want him leading the league in rushing because of how much he left. We watched tape together, how many yards he left on the field. So I don't know what he's seeing that I'm not, but apparently there's a ton more yards on the field that Nick Chubb is leaving, according to Stump Mitchell, and he's all bought in. Both of them together have made a goal of leading the league in carries or leading the league in rushing yards despite not being up there in carries because they want to hit 6 yards a pop here. So who knows? I know that's just coach speak and that shouldn't factor in much, but if there's a coach that can squeeze even more out of Nick Chubb, then damn, I like it. The one risk here is he had some very concerning splits. Once Watson came over, it looked like a slow, clunky, almost everybody in the offense was worse with Watson than better. But I do think that's got to be worked out this offseason. They gave so much money and so much capital to go get Watson, and all the reports are it's looked significantly more in tune and in sync and faster paced and better. Just everything's been better this offseason. But he did average 19 points a game without Deshaun Watson versus 12 with him. So that was a concern. And so we are having to project that this will just be a much more in sync and better offense. I do think that's going to be the case. I do like Watson throughout his career. I think a couple years out of the game, it really did take a toll on him, but it sounds like everything is back in place. So that leads me to project Chubb for 297 rushes, 1,485 yards, 13 touchdowns, in addition to 319 yards and a touchdown on the air with 38 catches there. And that has him as my RB3. And honestly, this seems like a pretty steady, stable, not a crazy Daniel Jones-style stealing projection. This is this might be like the floor for Nick Chubb, in my opinion.
Where's Chubb going in snake drafts right now?
He goes in underdog where it's more wide receiver heavy. He goes mid round 2 to a little bit early round 2. Sometimes he's starting to bop up now that Saquon's going to start falling and things of that nature. But he usually falls to round 2 at minimum. In redraft, regular redraft leagues, he's typically a late first rounder.
Yeah, I was going to say round 2 seems low. So
it is low.
Okay. Interesting.
What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.